What's up everyone, here is AhkTaar, welcome back for another hero showcase, and this time I'm gonna talk about the epic hero Visley. So, Visley is one of the most powerful epic heroes support in the game. She can provide a lot of things to your team and a lot of useful debuffs to enemies. Let me introduce her to you. She is a support hero with the red mark, great for the Tower of Mark, and from the Wizard Eye, one of the best for the faction. She can inflict so many debuffs and so many buffs on your heroes. This is pretty nice. So first of all, let's talk about her passive. Every time she's gonna inflict some damage, direct damage to the enemies, she can attack them using the ultimate and the basic attack in single target. Here she has some chance to inflict a resistance down 25% here, but once exclusive 1 you can reduce the resistance of the targets by 50%. The ultimate is an AoE, so that means you have some chance using the ultimate to lower the resistance of all enemies by 50%, which is pretty huge, and also it works for the basic attack. On her ultimate, she has some chance to lower the attack of all targets in front of you by 40%, which is pretty huge. And also with the third exclusive, if you lower successfully the attack of the targets, then you can remove one random buff on them, which is pretty interesting for specific content. It doesn't work on the red mark tower against the boss with the shield, because remember, when he has the shield, he is immune to debuffs, and so he wants to take the attack down. And so you can't remove the shield if you can't lower the attack of the target. But this skill is really useful to survive in dungeons. The second skill, she's gonna increase the speed of all allies by 20% and the crit rate of your highest attacker in your team by 25% up to 50% if you have the second exclusive on her, which is pretty huge. And finally, on her basic attack, she can lower the speed of a single target unit by 20%. On a basic attack, this is really interesting and strong. So let's have a look to the exclusive to summarize it. The first one, on the passive, you have some chance to inflict a resistance down 50% instead of 25%. The first exclusive is great on her. The second one, it's gonna increase the crit rate of your highest attacker in your team by 50% instead of 25% using the second skill, which is pretty huge. This is useful for every kind of direct damage hero. Last one, a Tender Magic, the ultimate can remove one random buff on the target if it successfully lower the target's attack by 40%, so it can help, but clearly it's not mandatory. So the stats on her I recommend is first of all the HP defense. I prefer to build some HP on my heroes, because if they take a defense down on them, or some dots, dots ignore the defense, so it's better to have a lot of HP instead of a lot of defense. Also, you need a lot of speed on her and a lot of effect hit in order to be sure to land your debuffs, otherwise she wants to be super optimized. In terms of equipment, this is what I have on her, a 2 effect hit set, so let me show you the gear. Let me push myself to the right here, okay. So here, the first piece of gear I have, the weapon, I have some speed, HP rate, which is pretty nice. We don't need some attack and mastery, so this one is not optimal, but it's still interesting. On the second one, I have effect hit speed, healing effect, it doesn't require some on her. Then some effect resistance, why not, but it's not really useful on her. For the boots, I have some effect hit, HP, then crit rate and attack rate are not great on her, so it's clearly not optimal. And finally, on the accessory, I have some speed, effect hit and defense rate. This is pretty nice, but one more time, I don't need some healing effect. In terms of artifact, I have here a speed, an HP one. This is the best I recommend to use here, otherwise you have some attack one, or you can use some defense one if you don't have some great HP ones. I don't recommend to use a crit rate, crit damage, mastery or attack on her. This one is pretty nice. So speed, effect hit, one more time, crit rate and effect resistance are not great on her. On the second artifact here, I have a lot of effect hit. This is the one I recommend to use. If you want her to be more tanky, you can use defense and HP instead. It's gonna be great too. So in terms of substats on this artifact, I have a lot of speed, HP rate and HP. This is pretty nice, and some attack rate, so I don't need that on her. And finally, on the last one, I recommend only to use a speed one or maybe an HP one if you have, or a defense one if you have enough speed on the substat of your gear. Otherwise, the speed one is the best to use on her. With some HP rate, HP, and finally mastery and attack are not great on her. So that was all for the gear. Now let me show you the emblems. Let me push back to the left. Here I increased everything to so she has more effect hit to learn her debuffs. She is gonna take less damage when she has a shield. She's gonna be faster thanks to this one. She is gonna have more resistance. It can help in some contents, especially for the arena, but I'm not sure that she is great. She is great early game, I mean, in the arena, but not in end game. Then this one to reduce the dot damage she's gonna take, and here she will take less crit damage and heal herself if she takes too much damage at once. In terms of aura, this is the one I'm using on her, so it helps to land my debuffs on the targets because it increases her effect hit. This is the best I recommend on her. Otherwise, maybe this one is great if you are using some daughters in your team. It's a great one to have on her. Then the others, if she likes some survivability, maybe this one can help, but she is here to support your team, so I prefer getting more effect hit on her or some utilities for the team instead of only for herself. So the other blues are not great on her, and the purples, the Mastery Surge is nice. This one can be great if you have a lot of healing effect on her. She will help healing your heroes, so it's a great one. This one can help, but I don't recommend to build it. And finally, in terms of legendary aura, I don't recommend to put a legendary aura on an epic unit. Or maybe this one if you have no better solution than using her in against the guild boss, for example. And if you need to increase your overall damage with your team, this one is gonna be the best to bring on her. Every time she's gonna inflict some direct damage to an enemy, she is gonna put a debuff on him to increase the damage he's gonna take from all sources of damage by 16% up to 36% in total. But yeah, this is the legendary aura, and this is an epic unit, so it's up to you. So now let me show you some gameplay in dungeons. So this is room 30. I'm gonna go with two epic heroes, Verto and Visley, Catherine, Nita and Space. So let's run the fight and see what happens. First wave, I increase my turn meter, I inflict some damage with my Nita, so here I don't have a lot of troubles to deal with this wave. But now I don't have my cooldowns on my Nita, so I have to buff my heroes and break the damage of enemies. Here they have the attack down from my Visley, and they also have the crit rate down 25% coming from my Verto, which is pretty nice, so now I am safe. I have the consolidation, the shield and the counter attack on my Catherine. So I just have to tank, do some counter attacks, inflict some more dots on enemies, and it should be okay. Okay, 2 enemies remaining. Horus is dead, only Walter remaining. Perfect. Boss wave, let's have a look to that. So I increase my turn meter, I apply my buffs to tank the attack from the boss. Okay, that's perfect. So now Nazekma is gonna steal my buffs, but it should be okay because the boss has the attack down and the crit rate down, so normally I can tank. So now I have my buffs again. Nazekma is gonna lose the buffs. Perfect, crit rate down and attack down every turn on the boss, which is pretty useful. Also speed reduction coming from Visley, but also Space can use the speed reduction 40%. So both of them are great to do this kind of stuff. Okay, so that's perfect. Only the boss remaining, so now it's a matter of turns and minutes. He is gonna die. but just have to be patient. The goal here is to show you how great, how good is Visley to help you to tank in dungeons. Here, the attack down 40% is a huge on the boss. And also the resistance down help your heroes to provide buffs, debuffs on the boss. And also here I have the attack buff from my Verto on my Nita, so she inflicts more damage. And also he boosts my effect hit on my heroes, so with the resistance down and the effect hit boost on my heroes, I am pretty strong with my daughters and debuffers. So with this team I'm sure to apply all the debuffs on the boss and to tank. Thanks to the turn meta reduction with Verto and Space and the speed reduction on the boss and a speed up on my heroes, I can inflict more poisons every turn, and all the poisons reduce the damage inflicted by the boss, which is pretty insane to survive. As you can see, for now I am still alive with all my heroes. So maybe you won't have the same stats on your heroes that the ones I have on my heroes here, but maybe you can reproduce that on a ROM 27, 28. Normally it should do the job. And it's almost done. Look at that, ROM 30, I survived with all my heroes more than 250 turns. It's not the most optimal team in terms of damage, but in terms of survivability, as you can see, it does the job. So now let me show you something different. Because Visley is one of the best heroes to bring against the guild boss. And this is the guild boss number 6. Here I'm using Visley with Hezonia, with 2 mythic heroes, and Catherine. This is the guild boss number 6. This is just insane. Look at that. She's gonna reduce the effect resistance of the boss, and so I can apply all my debuffs super easy. And the attack down on the boss, guild boss number 6, is pretty insane to survive with your heroes, as you are gonna see here. This boss is one of the hardest one in the game at the moment, and normally he kills super easy your DPS during the fight. But here with Visley, it's pretty safe. So one more time, I have a lot of stats on my heroes. And here she has the Combat Vanguard aura, because if you don't have Nicholas, for example, she is a good replacement. She is the cheapest version of Nicholas. And also she is more efficient than a Nicholas without exclusive. 5 turns, for now I'm still alive. The resistance down on this boss is pretty huge. Because the boss has 100% resistance, that means you need a huge amount of effect hit on your heroes in order to apply the debuffs on them. Otherwise it's never gonna work. So attack down on the boss, I could tank and I'm still alive with my DPS. Pretty useful. Also, the speed buff on my heroes help me to inflict more dots on the boss. "10 turns, I am still alive for now. And I'm gonna reach the 100 million damage. Pretty insane. So one more time, I have huge stats on my heroes, so maybe your goal here with this kind of team is gonna be first to reach 100 million on this guild boss. It's reachable. But when you're gonna have a huge stats on your heroes, this is what you can reach. Okay, close to die with my Lucia, but still alive for now. On the guild boss, it's important to lower the attack of the boss and have the consolidation on your heroes when he has his skills in cooldown because the first skill hits through the shields. This is the only one that can hit through the shield, so be careful about that. "16 turns and I'm still alive, 17 turns. And I'm close to the 200 million damage, using Visley, she is insane for that. Still alive until the end of the fight here, and I'm gonna reach the 200 million damage on a guild boss number 6 using Visley in my team. She is such an amazing epic hero. 205 million damage. So, that was all for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If it's the case, as usual, please like, comment and subscribe, and then see you in the next one. Bye bye!
Infinite Magicraid. Play to slay.